everyone, welcome to Blooms and Bicycles. Today I'll be talking you through how to construct the Easter Flowers large letterbox flowers. As part of an initial delivery, you'll receive this recycled glass apothecary style vase, and then later on you'll receive a letterbox with all of the stems. So to begin with, we will be adding in our flower feed, which will come as part of your parcel. This just helps to keep bacteria away from the water. So next we're going to create the grid. The grid is created using the strongest stems. In this case, we will be using the Magnolia and the dried blossom stems to do so. So one thing to remember is how the number 3, 5 and 7 always works beautifully in floristry. So we'll be working to the principle of using the magic number 3 whilst we create our grid. Next, we will also then add the salal. The salal helps create the garden style. We place that into the centre, and then we take the Thlaspi and we'll feed this in around the grids that we've created so far. We do this by trimming off the first few inches of the branch, and this means we have split off various stems to use. First, we'll take the larger of the stems and we'll strip the leaves, which will be under the water level. Using only half of the branches now, we'll take the largest ones and add those in around the centre. Next, we'll take the eucalyptus parvi and we'll add that into the centre as well. Now that the grid is created, it's just a case of adding in the flower stems. Starting with the flowers that are naturally the longest, we'll take advantage of their height and use them towards the back of the arrangement. As we start to add in the pieces, we'll create a graduating height difference, from the back being the tallest to the front being the smallest. Ranunculus are also very long, so really all we'll need to do is snip off at an angle about 2 to 3 centimetres. We'll then add those in to create a triangle of pink flowers, again working to the principle of 3. Next, we'll take the Narcissus and again working to the principle of 3, being a very neutral colour, like the garden rose here. We will create another point to build out another triangle. Next, we'll take the eustoma, taking away any leaves that will sit beneath the water. Again, there's no right or wrong with this, just roughly working to the principles of 3 or shapes of triangles will create that beautiful, natural, yet very organised garden design. Again, use the flower grid to its full advantage. And if flowers do start to naturally lean off to one side or another, just allow it, because that's just part of the natural design we're going for. So now we've created an even distribution of pinks and whites with the varying stems, using the showstopper Canterbury Bells in a beautiful violet colour. We'll add this to the centre space where there's currently a void. Sometimes using the grid can be trial and error, it's just a case of preference really. In your mind's eye, you'll start to find that you can envisage the stem in particular ways. Use the grid and just keep trying in different spaces until it sits in the place you want it to be. So next we will add the status, again a naturally long stem, and to create the graduation of heights that we just mentioned, the Canterbury Bell being the very tallest currently, going to the ranunculus further down. Here you can see there is a void. This will fit perfectly into that void, so the best thing to do is hold the status stem behind the vase, work out whereabouts you want the height to be, and from there you can gauge how much needs to be trimmed off the bottom of the stem. In this case, we're talking about 1 inch. Feeding it into the grid, until it sits at the height you need it to be. We'll then next take the allium. Using the allium to balance out where the statice is positioned, both being very particularly white stems, the allium in this case will sit perfectly in the void between these 3 pink stems here. So again, feed it through the grid. And finally, taking the hyacinth, we'll add this in at the front to counterbalance the daffodil which sweeps out to the other side. Again, it doesn't matter if the stems don't go to the very bottom of the vase, if you just make sure that the vase is filled with water to the top. So next we'll add the second part of the Thlaspi. As finishing touches, we'll use them to dress the opening of the vase around the edge. So just threading in the small pieces around the grid so that they feather out to create a natural burst effect. As you get towards the end of arranging the flowers, you might feel the need to move some of the stems because they've repositioned themselves or because the overall look has changed, in which case just go ahead. Pulling the Thlaspi stems around different flower heads also helps create distinction between the different varieties. I think this eustoma just needs slightly adjusting, maybe to around the same sort of height as the rose on the other side. So we'll just move that now. And I've also just noticed the Canterbury Bells have twirled, so we'll bring them back around so the cups of the flowers are in full view. Again, this is where you'll start to really feel the benefit of the grid, because you just manoeuvre flowers into position and then they'll hold themselves. Working again with the number 3, the 2 longer stems of Jasmine will go to the left and right, and the shorter piece in the very front. And there you have it, the large Easter letterbox flowers. I hope you enjoy.